Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of the Imperfect Cheerleader podcast. I am your host, Jasmine Neely, and today we have a really special guest on the show. Her name is Marissa West, also known as Mrs. West is in the building, for those of you on Instagram. She is the founder and creator of West Kept Secret. She grew up and went to school in Northern Virginia, but her love for fitness started at a young age when she started competitive gymnastics and was a dance team member. She moved to Charlotte in 2011 after making the Carolina Panthers TopCats and is a certified personal trainer and nutrition specialist through ACE. She focuses her fitness studies on cardio and interval training, resistance training, ballet bar, and Pilates. Marissa has experimented with these different genres and developed the signature, trademarked, and make sure you note, patent pending West Kept Secret methodology, incorporating cardio, strength training, and Pilates into one dynamic workout. Y'all, she's been featured as a fitness expert in major publications such as Men's Health, Top Sugar, and Cooking Light magazine. Marissa was also named one of Charlotte Agenda's top 10 small business owners in 2019. She has gone live on Instagram via Shape magazine and Hollywood Life, showcasing the unique West Kept Secret workout with Sports Illustrated model Olivia Culpo. The West Kept Secret curated methodology is used by the Carolina Panthers TopCats, Miss USA, Miss Universe, and other prominent influencers and athletes to maintain peak performance. As the CEO of West Kept Secret, Marissa works with the management team to make corporate decisions, evaluates operational protocol, and navigates the strategic direction of the company. West Kept Secret is also the official fitness sponsor for the TopCats. So make sure that you stop by and take a class to get in tip-top shape for auditions. All right? We go so many different directions in this interview, in this conversation. I can't thank Marissa enough for her expertise and her knowledge and her experience in sharing that with you all. It is such a gift, and I think you are in for a real treat. And you actually are in. She's giving away something. If you listen to the whole podcast, you'll notice at the end, she is offering something up, something complimentary for you at the end. So you got to stick around and listen to the end of this podcast. Without further ado, let's welcome Marissa West to the Imperfect Cheerleader. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Imperfect Cheerleader podcast. We have Marissa West is in the building today for another episode. And Marissa, let's just get right into it. First of all, thank you for being here today. I
Absolutely.
I want to ask you, who is Marissa West?
Good goodness, she's really evolved over the years, Jasmine. She has. No, but I would say me as an individual and then kind of me as a business owner and all of my different facets kind of tied together. First and foremost, I am a wife and a mother, now new mother. So those are two titles that I hold very near and dear to my heart because they are titles that have significant meaning for me personally. And I would also say I am passionate about dance and about fitness, which definitely plays into my roles with West Kept Secret as the owner and then the official sponsor for the Top Cats, their fitness sponsor as well. And also just a bubbly, fun, loving friend and daughter. So I'm kind of a little bit of everything, but I definitely would say I have evolved over the years, I feel like, into this new era and this new title and this new kind of version of myself that encompasses all of these different roles that I'm learning to balance all at the same time. So that's a little bit about me.
just a little bit of everything, taking
Yes,
a little bit of
ma'am.
everything and making it into who Marissa West is. I like to, whenever I do interviews, I like to go back to like the very beginning of somebody's childhood and their life, and because I feel like that really molds a person into who they become later on in life and can have an impact, even though they're a different person than who they were, as you mentioned, as they were as a child. So, Marissa, what was your first memory of fitness and falling in love with it? I want you to take us on a journey of where it all began.
Definitely. My first experience with just fitness and just physical exercise in general was, goodness, three. The memory's a little foggy, but I was put into gymnastics at the very early age of 3, and I followed that career and that sport all the way up until middle school. So it was what I lived, what I breathed, what I did day in and day out. It really molded and impacted me in a very significant way because it taught me so much. It taught me professionalism, determination, perseverance. It taught me about conditioning because we would have individual events,
Hmm.
floor, bar, beam, what am I missing? Vault, all of those. I love now too that Simone Biles is like such a powerhouse because when I was growing up, it was like the Magnificent Seven in the '94 Olympics, like Dominic Dawes, Dominic Luciano.
Yeah.
But I love that gymnastics really has taken off now, and there's so many amazing women who are pioneers for other young gymnasts or dancers or other sports that kind of mimic that performance aspect. So anyway, I love the Olympics when they come on for gymnastics
Good.
because it's such a cool, it takes me back. It's like a cool
Yeah.
experience to relive. But it was something that I mean, I really thought like if I put my mind to this, I could go far with this. Like, could I go to the Olympics? I don't know. Am I good enough? Because I had the body type that was short, petite, um, very similar. Like people be like, you look like Dominic Luciano when you're doing your dance portion on the floor or on the beam.
Yeah.
And I really loved it. Over time, I got into, elementary school and middle school, and it was before school, it was after school, it was weekends, traveling to competitions. It truly was my entire identity. And
Mm.
I started to resent it. I
Mm.
started to really resent it, and I would resent and get frustrated with my parents because my mom was highly involved with, you're so talented, you're so great at this, like you need to keep doing this. And she also, understandably so, she had friends within the community of gymnasts and gymnast moms that she had met. And now as a mother, I get that.
Yeah.
That was now like her community too. My
Right.
dad was a little bit more of like, hey, follow your dreams. Like if it's not for you, we can always kind of transition. But they both instilled in me, if you are thinking about going to a different sport, you're going to finish this entire season out no matter what. And
Mm.
that really stuck with me because I was starting to really not enjoy it anymore. I wanted to do more extracurricular activities at school. I wanted to be with my friends more who were not in the gymnastics world.
Yeah.
And, just starting to kind of like blossom as a middle schooler, really. And you're like, I don't want to go to practice, I'm
Yeah.
not feeling this. And eventually it was like right around sixth, seventh grade. I just said to my mom, I'm done. I'm injured also. I started kind of getting injured more frequently, knee issues, ankle issues. I was done. It was
Yeah.
really devastating, I think, for both of my parents, because again, their talent was there. And I just said, listen, just trust me on this. It's going to be for the best. I have other sports that I'm interested in. I was interested in diving at the time and also
Mm.
dance. There
Mhm.
was a dance studio close to my house, and then that was like a feeder competition studio that the coach there was also the coach of the high school drill and dance team.
Mm.
And so I thought, well, one, that's a natural transition. I like the dance part of
Yeah.
gymnastics, like the floor routine, the beam, the creative side. maybe this would be a good avenue. So I started competition dance in seventh, eighth grade. But I will say I kind of was late to the game. I mean, you understand with dance, like a lot
Mm-hmm.
of dancers start at 3 years old. So I'm learning
Yeah.
how to turn instead of turning inward, now I'm having to learn to turn outward. Turns in second and like
Mm.
leaps and things that had to have that ballet fundamentals. So there were parts of my dance that was strong because I had the power, I had the precision, and I had the determination. But
Yeah.
I didn't have like the grace and the also somewhat of the muscle memory of learning that much material at one time. But I caught on and I persevered through it. And diving was kind of short-lived. I did that for like a hot minute, and I was like, you know, I don't know, like this is kind of scary. You're like next to the board and like getting wet. I was like, I don't know. I think like dance is gonna be more for me, stable ground, like flipping in my time. Like let me just like breathe. So I ended my diving stint and focused on dance. And then my freshman year, I made the dance drill team. And I did that all through high school. So freshman
Mhm.
year, all to my senior year, I loved it. We danced at home basketball, home football games.
Mm.
Still at the same time, I was doing competition dance for this studio all through high school as well. So I felt like my technique really improved doing both. And then
Yeah.
that became like my live, breathe, eat, sleep sport because
Yeah.
dance is a sport. Fun fact, everybody out there.
It is.
Okay? Yes, ma'am. So I did that, and then from there, I graduated. This is going to date me, Jasmine, but I graduated high school in 2007, and I went to a small Division III school in Newport News, Virginia, Christopher Newport University. Not a lot of people know about the school, and now it's a lot more popular, but I chose that school specifically because they offered me a dance scholarship for their dance
Wow.
team, which is really like cool and kind of like unheard of
Mhm.
because normally dance
Yeah.
scholarships are for you like studying dance.
Right.
They did it was for like you being on the team. It was something small, but it was like, hey, this is really cool that I can continue doing dance team and dancing for the home basketball and football games. And I did that freshman year through my senior year. And I felt like that really kept me on the kind of like straight and narrow path in college. Like I was focused. I wanted to
Mm.
study. I had to be up early for practices. And then I became the choreography captain one year, another a captain the next year. We had our coach. One of the coaches left kind of midway through the season. It was like, we need a coach for basketball season. It's like, who's going to do it? I'm happy to do it. Was able to
Mm.
kind of like finish out the year with the team. And we went to nationals every year. So got to have that experience. And it was always fun working with other choreographers to come in for routines. And I just loved it. It was everything to me. And
Wow.
that's kind of takes me fast forward to senior year. And it's now what most dancers in general, and I'm sure I know for a fact many dancers that you've interviewed on your podcast of you finish college, now what for dance?
Yep. There's that moment you're like, my life is over with dance. What do I do?
Yeah. And you're faced with like, what is next? But I love dancing. I'm not ready to give it up. And that's kind of where the NFL and NBA was kind of like in front of you. And you're like, okay, like, well, what matches my style? What team matches my style, personality, vision? And also depending, like cities, what makes sense. And my
Yep.
sister had just recently moved to Charlotte. I had a lot of friends who were dancing for, since I'm from Virginia at the time, it was called the Redskinettes, now, the Commanders.
Oh,
But yeah,
didn't know that. The Riskinettes.
right? Fun fact. So there were a lot of girls who were like, well, that's where I'm going.
Mm.
A few for when we're like, oh, I'm looking at Falcons, like Atlanta, it's a big city. And because I had family in Charlotte and it was far enough away from my parents where I could have some autonomy, still close enough to home. And I had my sister there. I was like, Charlotte seems like a great city. And my senior year of college, 2011, that's when I was finishing my semester and coming down for prep clinics back in the day. They were held on a Wednesday night multiple times throughout
Wow.
the spring. So I would commute down, I would stay with my sister, I'd go to prep clinic, be with the team, try to get to know everybody, and then auditioned April time frame. I still hadn't even graduated yet.
Mm,
And somebody saw something in me and took me on the first try, which I was very thankful for because then I was able to move my whole life down to
mm,
Charlotte. And that's kind of like my trajectory of from childhood with fitness and dance, and then how
mm,
it kind of got me to the TopCats into Charlotte. And I will say, during my time in college preparing for auditions, I hired a personal trainer
mm,
my senior year, and I was like, I want to put everything into this and know I hired somebody to help me get there because I need the additional accountability. And if I don't make the team, I will know I did everything humanly possible. I hired a trainer. I prepped my outfit ahead of time. I was ready with my media question. Like I was so prepared. And if I didn't make the team, it wasn't for a lack of trying and being prepared. It just
mhm.
I would know it just wasn't my year, and that's okay. And I can rest my hat on that. But I knew if I didn't do everything possible, that would have made me stay up at night wondering, what if I had done this?
Yeah,
So
that's huge. That is so good to, that's a really good takeaway because a lot of girls would, or even guys would try out and they're like, I didn't make it this time. Oh, I think it's if I had done this, I would have probably gotten to this round of auditions. And sometimes it's nothing more that you can do, just like you said. But the most you can do and the most you can control is what you can prepare for. That's the preparation, like you said, is key. And if you have done everything you can to prepare, then it's not you, it's them. You put it on them. I say that all the time. It's not you, it's
exactly.
them.
That,
They
and
missed out on
that's
you because
absolutely.
of whatever reason that you don't probably don't know, which maybe you don't need to know. So, yeah, it's typically always going to be another team, another opportunity. So, um, like you said, it just wasn't your year. But
Absolutely.
yeah, I love that. And you did mention something, and thank you for taking us through that
Yes.
trajectory from gymnastics to dance to college to Top Cats. You mentioned something in the middle there when I feel like I've never thought about this until now, but in that middle school phase when, you're going through puberty and you're wanting to hang out with friends. And I just had a realization that I went through this as well in middle school because through I think it was eighth grade, I wanted to try like track and I wanted to do cheerleading. And I think I'd only dance. Usually I would do like six dances in competition. I did two dances that year because I wanted to do more things outside of dance. And I think it's really interesting how that those middle school years are so pivotal and I don't know if it's a test. I feel like it's just like a normal thing that, teenage girls or preteens would go through. But the fact that, you tried those things and it kind of led you to, where you were meant to be is really cool. And even your parents giving you that like kind of like an ultimatum type of thing, saying you have to stick through this. Props to them.
If it went up to me, I'd probably be like, okay, I'm done. Like, I'm
Yeah.
gonna go right now into this next thing. And they were like, we hear you, but we need to, follow through on our commitment and then we can switch gears. And that was
That's a
really
great lesson.
important and a great lesson. I totally agree.
Yeah, not giving up, sticking through. Like when you start something, you finish it, which is a great, great lesson. So props to your parents for that.
Thank-
In your experience with fitness and training, we know you're the owner and CEO of West Kept Secret, and that is a sponsor of the Top Cats. So make sure you all, if you're listening, go take a class. Um, in your experience, I know you've trained plenty of hopefuls and you have trainers that train hopefuls and um you probably see a lot of things that and maybe even judging auditions like you've done it before in the past and probably will be doing again. What do you think holds people back the most from reaching their fitness goals? How, and a second question to that is how do you and the West Kept Secret team coach the hopefuls or just people in general on how to overcome it?
That's a really good question. I think that a lot of things can contribute to people not attaining goals, but I think the main thing that I see with specifically with hopefuls is there's so two things. One, they're so overwhelmed and spread thin on where they focus their energy for
Mm,
prepping for audition. So they're like, fitness is important, but honestly, my dance technique is like, it's not good. Like, I really need to focus there, I think. And having somebody, what we do with our one-on-one sessions is when it's a hopeful, we'll chat with them about, of course, fitness, nutrition, but are there other things that you want us to address, like flexibility? We're not going to do an entire session on choreography because respectfully, like there's other people like you, for example, and there's other people classes that will help with that. But if there's something that we can throw in, like cardio with a prep clinic routine that they learned, and
mhm,
then doing some strength with that, that's something that we add into our one-on-one 1 hour workout. And for example, a workout could look
mhm,
like, all right, we're going to really focus on cardio during this session, but we know for you, you mentioned retaining choreography is an issue for you. So what we'll do is we will, the prep clinic routine or 3 or 4 that you learned. Let's focus on one, and we're going to do Tabata sprints, which are 10 minutes worth of sprinting on the treadmill at different intervals. And after every 3, you're going to jump off the treadmill and we're going to run this routine full out and put you
mhm.
back on the treadmill. And that's
Wow.
a way for us to still do cardio,
Mhm,
implement that into our sessions, and allow for hopefuls to kind of like kill two birds with one stone. But
mhm,
I don't think they even get that far into a consultation with us because they're like, okay, I've got fitness, I've got technique, I've got all these other things I'm trying to balance. I'm just going to go right here in this one bucket and focus on it and just hope for the best in the other categories. So I
mhm.
do see that kind of holding hopefuls back where they're just so overwhelmed, they don't even know where to start. And they typically choose dance to be the primary focus. And then again, they just kind of are like hoping for the best on the fitness side when it comes time for that. But they are so integrated and they go hand in hand. It's very evident as a judge if somebody is out of shape from the cardio perspective and can't hit their motions hard or get low because their legs are fatigued and not strong enough, or their arms are not able to hit motions hard enough because they just don't have that upper body strength.
Yeah.
So I find that to be something that holds hopefuls back. And I think the second part is a lot of time resources, financial resources. That is a big barrier of entry for a lot of hopefuls. I mean, I get it. I was 21 years old auditioning and I barely, I didn't have a full-time job. I didn't have the means to properly prepare. Um, I did with the support of my parents. I had to ask them like, hey, like I need to hire a trainer. Can you help me here? But a lot
Mm,
of people don't have that ability. And so we try, at least from the West Cap side, to provide options for every budget. So for example, if somebody's like, listen, one-on-one personal training is just not in my budget, what else can I do? We'll say, okay, like let's start at the base level with group classes and let's give you a hopeful discount that we offer, even a complimentary class just to come and get in the door, and also some options for virtual streaming, virtual programs to focus on core or glutes or arms or all of it together, and make sure that these hopefuls are set up for success with resources that are manageable for them, because dance is an expensive sport. It's an expensive sport to prep for. And even if you're like, okay, I'm going to get my sports bra, at Target and Rhinestone it myself, which I've done before. So I feel you.
same.
There are ways to keep resources at a reasonable rate and still put your best foot forward. So
Mm,
those are my two like main barriers that I see for hopefuls. There are more, and
Yeah.
it ultimately causes them not to attain their goals because they think I don't have those resources, so I'm not going to, they're not training properly. On the group class side or the one-on-one side, or they're not preparing properly because they really didn't do their homework or hire a mentor or really just find a current top cat or an alumni to be like, all right, will you be my mentor? Will you have my back and walk me through what I should do? Because just that is so huge and will help people ultimately achieve their goals.
Yeah, and there's so many resources out there nowadays. Even if you aren't able to pay for a mentor, like you said, you can reach out to there's at most 20 people that is going to be on one team. If it's Top Cats, it's 25. Like one of somebody is going to respond
Yes,
to you. Even if one person doesn't, you can try a different person. And we have social media. There's so many free ways that you can get guidance. But I think it's interesting that you mentioned the financial piece. I wasn't expecting that, but that is a barrier to entry that I think is worth noting. So
definitely.
for that first point, you did say that a lot of hopefuls don't know where to start because they're overwhelmed with everything that comes with an audition. So if somebody's on their fitness journey and they're listening and they are just like, I'm all about dance, I don't know anything about fitness, where should they start in their fitness journey?
Definitely. And I would say one other to kind of tie into this, one other area that I do see hopefuls not achieving their goals that will tie into this point is they they don't start early enough
Mm,
with fitness,
yeah.
making it a lifestyle. So they're doing, which I know you and I have seen over the years, they're doing a quick fix and they're doing it in a very short amount of time. And then it kind of blows up in their face because they can't maintain that during the audition process. So starting when you get the no, if it is a no, or start when you get that, I want to do this, give yourself a minimum of 6 months, ideally a year, to properly prepare yourself for the mental load, the physical load, and really coming into being your best self for audition. So, with that being
Yeah.
said, I think that starting with again 6 months to a year is ideal. You can do it in a shorter period of time. It's like what I tell my brides when they're like, I got a month to my wedding. What do I need to do? And I'm like, oh my
Ooh,
gosh.
a
Okay,
month. Goodness.
okay. Or they, a month, 2 months, 3 months. I'm like, okay, I'm like sweating in my chair hearing that.
Yeah.
We'll do it in a healthy way, but it's going to require a lot more of you. And it's the same parallel with auditions. When you have a big event, give yourself ample time. Once you've given yourself ample time, then it's kind of like, okay, where do I start? To
Yeah.
tie into your note. So my biggest suggestion on the fitness side of where to start is number one, I would just identify what your goals are for your physical fitness level and potentially your physique that you're wanting to accomplish because they somewhat go hand in hand. I always tell this to every personal training client. What are your strength, cardio, endurance, just goals? What does that look like for you? So for some people, that is being able to run a mile without stopping, or for a hopeful, get through 5 routines back to back and being able to land in a top cat pose and they're able to smile and they don't look like they're keeling over, super out of breath.
Hmm.
Everyone's goals of endurance, cardio training, physical strength, core strength, those areas are like tangible goals that we can monitor throughout their progress that I always like to hear. And then part two is what is your ideal physique that you want to see? Because somebody might say, well, Marissa, I actually want to bulk up. Like, I want to get more muscles on my arms. Like, I want my abs more chiseled and I want more quad definition. And a lot of the males who have been on the team previously, that was a goal for them to bulk up. And then on the flip side, we will have hopefuls or current typecasters. And they're like, okay, I want to trim down a little bit. I want to lean out. I want my core definition to show through. And those are physical, aesthetic, visual goals that they're looking for. And those are two different buckets, but they also can overlap. So I
Mm.
always like for folks to identify those first. So once you've identified those goals, from there, I would say reach out to WestKept. But even if it's not WestKept, if you have a trainer that you're currently working with, identify those goals with them and work with them to create a roadmap for you in session or outside of sessions in both. So, what would a session look like for a hopeful to attain the goals that they're looking for? And then, what are the other 6 days out of the week looking like for them? There's probably going to be a rest day of stretching. There's definitely going to be a cardio day I'm going to throw in there. And then
Mm.
probably three fusion based workouts or a strength building workout, depending on those goals. And then having that accountability with your trainer or with yourself or however it ends up shaking out so that
Yeah.
you're able to track that on a weekly and monthly basis to ultimately achieve those goals. So that would be my suggestion, identifying goals, creating the action plan and strategy with your trainer, and then from there executing and having those regular check-ins to ensure that you're meeting those goals so you're ready to crush it and be set up for success.
Yeah, I think those three steps are really attainable. Like it's pretty straightforward, and I think it's a good roadmap to start with. Now, what about nutrition? I know you help clients with nutrition, and I guess in the same question with fitness, what do you think is the hardest part about staying on track with nutrition
Definitely.
that you've
I think
seen?
I will go back to two things. I think education of just understanding what is a what is like the right macro combination for each individual body. Most people don't know that. They're like, they've been taught their entire life, I'm scared of fat. My calories have to be low. Protein is going to make me bulk up. Carbs, that's an absolute no. These are things that we've been
Yeah.
programmed, especially as young women, to hear over all of these years. I do think now it's becoming much more prevalent to bust a lot of these nutrition myths, which is great. But I think that there is a lack of basic nutrition education for folks, so that it puts a lot of people at a disadvantage. I think that the
Mhm.
rise of social media and like quick fixes and influencers like, hey, just do a fast for 24 hours and then you'll do that. That has caused a lot of misinformation to spread. And I also think going back to the discussion of resources, what is a reasonable budget for
Yeah.
each hopeful to ultimately purchase and do on a daily basis, and then schedule. Everyone's schedule is totally crazy, and let's be honest, completely nuts, I feel like. And it's like,
Yeah.
how do you fit all of that together? So I think that um, finding a reputable source, so whether that is through WestKept, finding a registered nutritionist or dietitian if you're not local and you have someone that you want to work with is important. But starting with the basics of what are the three components of macros? So protein, carbs, fat, are really the three areas that you want to focus on and learning what is the proper ratio. Yours might be different than mine because I'm postpartum. How active you are on a daily basis can also change what your macronutrient should look like on a daily basis. But just doing a Google search on that is great because that can give you kind of like, okay, these are the three buckets I need to focus on. Especially as women, we're really under consuming carbs, fat, and protein, and being able to learn how to safely beef those up is a great starting point, just in general for like general nutrition.
Yeah.
Then from there, budget. So like identifying, I think this is so important, identifying a weekly budget and then a monthly budget that you feel is attainable to you as an individual. And we do this with the current Top Cats right now. So they do a food journal review at the beginning of the season. And the first question on the review is, what is your weekly budget and what is your monthly budget? Because I might have somebody that says it's $100 a week, and I might say have somebody who says $500 a week. And that is a very different response for me to be able to go, okay, here's a snack list catered to that budget that's going to work with what you have going on and that's going to set you up for success. So I think it's important to identify what your budget looks like, be honest about that, and then finding snacks, or again, more than happy to reach out to WestCap because we'll do this for you. But providing snacks that are healthy, that are going to fall within the macros, that are going to support you to get fit, along with the budget. And then from there, figuring out, of course, what you like and don't like. So if you're like, girl, I don't like chocolate perfect bars, like that is, I don't like chocolate. Okay, no problem. Let's do a sub for this instead.
Yeah.
Identifying your likes and your dislikes, and then also what is reasonable for your schedule. Because let me tell you, if someone were to be like, okay, Marissa, you're going to cook Monday through Friday, and this is what you're going to cook, and it's going to be about 30 minutes worth of prepping. Not going to happen. I can tell you right now. It's not going to happen. I don't even like cooking. I don't even know how to, I'm not even a good cook. So for me, finding things that are quick that I can put in the air fryer, this is for me personally,
Mhm.
or things that are pre-packaged that are as healthy as possible with relatively low sodium, that's going to be a better fit for me, where I might have another hopeful or current top cat that's like, I love cooking. So
Yeah.
I would love to spend 30 minutes learning more about how to prep a meal that's going to support me. So I always like to say, like, what is realistic for you in your day to day? Like, are you willing to cook and can you cook? Do you have the time to cook?
Mhm.
And that might look different from your breakfast to your lunch to your dinner, because I
Mhm.
have a lot of top cats that they're able to cook in the evening, or for example, for a Monday, Tuesday, but excuse me, cook on a Monday, prep for Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night because of practice, cook
Yeah.
again Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday, Sunday. That's going to be like an order out date or like a brunch date that they're going to have with their friends or boyfriend. But
Mhm.
we know breakfast, there's no time. They're waking up at the last second because they needed that sleep.
Yeah.
So they are going to need something pre-packaged, maybe a smoothie that's going to be really quick and easy, and they have their lunch packed for the day. So really understanding breakfast, lunch, dinner, what does each meal look like for you from a prepping standpoint, and then finding snacks that are easy to eat at work, things that we have a lot of teachers on
Yeah.
Top Cats. And it's like, I cannot eat when I'm teaching my class,
Right.
and I totally get that. What is something you could have in your desk that if you need to just take a handful, you could, that would tide you over until lunch? And so again, you really have to understand the profile of the person that you're working with to set them up for success. So I know that's a lot to take in, but really understanding the education of basics on macros, budgeting, time constraints, your likes and your dislikes, and ensuring that your breakfast, lunch, and dinner are set up for success based on your actual schedule are all factors I would consider for each individual when preparing a plan for a hopeful, and then of course the current top cats as well.
Yeah. Awesome. I love that. Then I feel like there's no excuse now if you don't know how to do your nutritional meet your nutritional needs during the week, then you have no excuse. That's a very simple baseline that you can
Absolutely.
follow. I'm curious, what is your fitness routine like during the week? I know because you do classes and I'm sure you have your privates and then you have I'm not sure if you still do your group classes, but like your actual personal like fitness routine during the week. What is it like?
Yeah, and it's pretty cool because it has stayed very consistent from the day I, started my journey to Top Cats in 2011, consistent meaning the amount of days and the hour that I make for myself, all
Okay.
the way through every season of life up until being pregnant, postpartum, and now in this new season. I will say I've always consistently done 5 days, sometimes six, and I always have a rest day in there or two. Now I am still following that routine. I would say 5 days consistently. It's 1 hour, maybe 6 days if I'm lucky, and then the seventh day is definitely an outdoor walk with my husband, with the baby, and we'll go pretty far. We'll do like 4 miles, and that's our time to connect and kind of like, how are you? What's going on? So that's like what my rest day looks like. But the other 5 to 6 days out of my workout week typically consist of 2 days of just strict running, straight running outside. I try to do 4 to 6 miles, and during that mileage, I will include strength training into it. So we have a running joke at WestCap. They're like, on my calendar, it says like combo six. And they're like, okay, Marissa's in her workout. And there was like, well, what does the combo include? Like, we want to know, like, what does that mean? Like the staff, and we'll laugh about it. I'm like, well, this is what I did today, but it generally is a mile run. And I take two dogs with me at the same time. So it's a little chaotic, but
Wow.
I like to get them out. That's my time for them, especially postpartum. Like they have got something in their day that is consistent and dedicated to
Yeah.
them. So I'll take them with me. We do a mile run, I pause, and I typically do 50 reps of some kind of body weight exercise, so like 50 squat jumps, 50 tricep dips, not normally 50 burpees, normally 25 burpees. Not 50, that would take me too long. And then I go to my next mile, run that as quickly as I can. I do another 50 reps of another body weight exercise, all outdoors. And I do that up to 6 miles. It typically takes me anywhere from 60 minutes up to 90 if I'm really like dragging. Um, so that is typically twice a week. And then the other 3 days, I try to always get in for a Westcap class at the studio. And if I'm not able to make it into a Westcap class at home, I have I call it like a makeshift Westcap. Like I've got a tread, I've got a Pilates springboard, I've got enough props that I'll do an hour of a Westcap style interval workout class. That's normally like 45 minutes.
Yeah. Cool.
That's my
Love
go-to. I
that.
love taking class. It's hard if I'm going in for clients because, it's like I want to be clean and looking professional. So I try to just get it done at home and then come in. So yeah, that's my typical
Yeah.
workout week.
5 days is that's great.
Thank you. And it's
That's
definitely been
amazing.
tougher with the baby, but I will say this. It's one of those things that I always say, bosses don't cancel on a meeting, and that's a meeting on my calendar, and the
Mhm.
staff knows it. My clients know it. My husband knows it. Our au pair, like, I'm like, hey, I need this hour for me. She's like, I got him. You go. I'm a better wife. I'm a better mom. I'm a better business owner when I've had that hour. And also, Jasmine, like, that's sometimes the best time for my creative thinking of business strategies, problems that are going on with it at work that I need to kind of like think creatively towards. And that's typically when my best ideas happen, is when I am getting the blood pumping and working.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you weren't doing fitness, what would you be doing, Marissa?
That's a tough one because it's so much of my identity.
Hmm.
Um, I know this is still in fitness, but I would start here first. This is like my comfort answer, and then I can give you like my big answer that I think would shock everybody.
Ooh.
I know, I know. I've given this kind of a lot of thought. I haven't even said it to anybody yet. So like you're getting like first access
Lisa.
on this, which is like kind of fun, and it's like kind of crazy to say it out loud. But my kind of safe answer that I could see down the line happening would be still being involved in fitness or with Westcat, but totally on the strategy and consulting side, where I
Mm.
don't do any of the one-on-one or group classes, and I'm just the strategy consulting on growth for the business because I've really enjoyed working on the business just as much as in the business in the
Mm.
last really 2 years. So that's something where I could go really like behind the scenes, like people wouldn't even know I'm really there, really continue to uplift the other trainers to be the face of the business. And
Mm.
I'm able to just continuously lead in direct other directions to kind of continue with those growth strategies. So that's still in fitness, but this might sound so crazy. My not in fitness like job, truly, if I could do anything, I would be a stay-at-home mom, 100%.
Mm.
Like I wouldn't even do another career. I would put
Yeah.
all of my energy into being a mom, being present, and I mean, even would like maybe homeschool, and utilize like my love for teaching, but to be able to do it with my son, and if we had more kids down the line. But I was so surprised at how much I love being at home with him.
Mm.
There was not a period of time postpartum where I was like, I'm not coming back to work. That I went back into work 2 weeks later. So like
Which is wow.
I was
Wow.
like, let's do it. I could see myself being like, I'm doing this like full time. I'm all in as a stay-at-home mom because to me, it's one of the greatest joys of my life and one of the most underrated jobs that I think anyone is given credit for. And I loved it so much more than I even dreamed that I could, which again, I think really shocks people because I'm so career driven. But I'm the time that I get with him that is extended periods of time or like in over the weekends and it's just like I'm like man, there's moments I'm like wow I could really do this all the time.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
I know
Well,
it's shocking. Like sometimes I'm like, Marissa, what? Because it's just like it's just such a different role for me to be so in love with.
yeah.
I do feel like right now I have the best of both worlds because I get to do those. I have a flexible schedule where I can be with him and really nurture and give him my all. But I also love West Kept and I love my job
Yeah.
so much. And I'm able to do that. And I have the best of both worlds right now. So
Yeah. Because you are so career driven and you're a businesswoman, did you have a point where, like, I guess, did you always want kids? Or
no,
was there a point that it
that's a great
switched?
question. And I think that's why it's almost so much more shocking to say that because
Hmm.
previous podcasts I've done, people have been like, so are you thinking about kids? And it's like, I don't know if we want to have kids. My husband and I, we got married super young, at 25. So I mean, we've had now 10, 11 years of marriage. And so I think everyone's like, are you guys gonna have kids? And we're like, we still don't know because we just love our relationship of having the flexibility to travel, to be career driven.
Yeah.
And I also think there were a lot of I think you hear so much from other women when it's like, hey, how is it working and having a kid? And they're like, it's terrible. Being a mom is so tough. You're never gonna sleep again. You hear all the bad.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what I did. And for years, it would scare me, Jasmine, to be 100% honest with you. I was like, goodness gracious, I can't get up at 4 a.m. and go and teach classes and have a baby up all night. Like, I just don't think I can do it. Like, it
Mm.
shut me down to even consider that opportunity of being a parent. And in addition, I think there were a lot of folks over the years, it's like, how can you grow the business and be a mom? It's almost impossible. And that would really those those thoughts and those reactions really stuck with me. And I think it's very similar to a dancer wanting to audition for a team and they hear all the negative. It's going to be really hard. It's probably going to be a no. You're going to have to sacrifice a lot. And you're kind of like, maybe it's not for me. I'm not going to do it. It's very similar parallel in
Mhm.
two different stages of life. And then we kind of got to the point my husband and I sat down, we're like, do we want to do this? We could be okay with no kids. Like we love
Mm.
this life, but we started like not try like we were like we're just gonna like see what happens.
Yeah.
And we noticed we're like, okay, nothing's happening. Let's keep going. And as things were not happening, I wasn't getting pregnant. It was like that I think was a turning point for me to kind of go, I do think I want kids. When you're not getting what you want, you're like, I think I
Mhm.
kind of do want this.
Yeah.
And we made that like a focal point of like, okay, like, do we need to go and do any consultations with doctors, things like that? And it was a slight tweak on a few little things and some supplements that I ended up trying, and boom, we got pregnant. But it is so crazy for me to think about what my life would have been without, because I can't imagine anything else. And that's where I was 2 years ago. And I think that it's so cool to have the opportunity to develop yourself as a person, your goals, your wants, your needs, and you can change that at any time.
Yeah.
And that's the best
Oh,
part.
I love that. And remind me your baby's name
Yes,
again.
his name is Julian. And
Julian.
I will say this
Yeah.
too. He is an easy baby, so I think he did make it easy. And I will say this is another tip. Whether it's, and again, I relate them both because they're so parallel. But
Yeah.
for me, yes, he was an easy baby and whatnot, but being physically fit to during pregnancy and postpartum, I kid you not, I was like, that was honestly not bad. And the recovery was really easy. And I was like back working out very soon, which I was like surprised about, but I was also like, it's the same thing. Preparation for auditions, for childbirth, for whatever your
Yeah.
event is, it really helps. And having help and support, a supportive spouse, whether you're wanting to start a family or wanting to audition for a team, that is critical. And for me, also having support. We have an incredible au pair who I absolutely adore, and she's very helpful to our family unit. And it's the same thing as a hopeful, having help and support from alumni, from a trainer, from whoever that is to prepare you and support you along your journey. It takes a village, no matter
Yeah.
what your goal is. And I can't recommend preparation and support in every aspect of your life. Lining those people up, you'll be so much better set up for success.
Yeah, I was gonna say the reason why that baby is a easy baby, why Julian's such an easy baby is because y'all are so in shape.
I really think that there is some science behind like the oxygen of exercising and that translating to that child and helping them be relaxed, happy, finding a good sleeping groove. There's definitely
Yeah.
some science behind that that I do think makes a difference.
Oh yeah. Wow. And I do want to pivot a little bit to TopCats.
Yes.
Your experience being a former TopCat. And like we've said before, we know it's audition season and we know the hopefuls are getting ready and putting themselves out there to audition for a pro team, whether it's TopCats or another team. I want to ask you what you remember about the time that you auditioned. What was going through your head at the time? You kind of alluded to it before, but what were like your biggest, I guess, yeah, what was going through your head during audition season?
A lot. I know, and I know it's overwhelming,
Yeah.
but I think that my first season, 2011, when I was living in Virginia and I was commuting, I was so eager and hungry for the opportunity, and I felt prepared, but I also had a lot of self-doubt, a lot of lack of confidence because I think it was more on the do I match the look of an NFL cheerleader? Actually, at that time was, shorter. I was definitely on the shorter side, and I was like, I'm short. I don't have a lot of experience as some of these other girls who have auditioned for other pro teams, or some of them had danced in the NBA. My style of dance was a mix of like jazz and hip hop, and a little bit of pom. So it was like the Top Cat style, and I say this, it's definitely evolved over the years, but it's a very like distinct style.
Mm.
It's kind of like a combo of all of those, and then dancing 50 times bigger than what you would
Yeah.
like on competition dance. And I knew I was like, I am not that big. Like I can record myself and see like I am not dancing as big as that veteran. I don't know how to do it. Like I don't know how to get bigger because I'm like losing control of my emotions.
Yeah.
So what was going through my head was you don't really have the look, and you don't really have the experience and the ability to match what these veterans are doing. And there's a lot of really good candidates around you. So you have a lot against you. But what I would remind myself when those moments of defeat and like self-doubt would come in is I was like, okay, what do you have going for you? You've been on a team before, you're coachable, your personality is warm and friendly and genuine, and they should be able to hopefully see that. Um, you also you have some experience, dance experience. You've been doing this for a long time, so you have to like rest on that. And there were things that I just had to remind myself, this is what you're good at, and that's what they will see, and hopefully choose you for those things. And then you can work on those other things. If
Yeah.
it's not your year, I'm coming back for sure. I already knew that in the back of my head. So I had to really work through the self-doubt. And also I wasn't in Charlotte, so I didn't like get to know the team, the girls at the time as well as I'd wanted to initially during like prep clinic, then during auditions. I was like, who can I dance with all day long to, prepare for semis or finals? And that anxiety of not knowing anybody really dropped down because when I made it to prelims and semis and finals, every practice I got closer and closer. And I was like, oh, this is my girl.
Yeah.
Who's got my back? Like it's like I didn't even miss a beat. So that was year one. I would say my second year going in, what was going through my head was, girl, you're a vet and you need to level the heck up. And it
Mm.
was a different kind of pressure and anxiety. And that's what I think it is for most vets. And then that happens every single year. And it
Yeah.
continues to elevate. And I would be very eager. Like I'd ask for feedback. I'm like, okay, during my end of year or like a one-on-one, I'm like, what can I work on? And like my biggest feedback from year one to year two was continuing to dance bigger, like you're really petite. They can't see you in the 500 level and your line, you've got all these other girls who are taller or they're just stronger dancers. So you need to like level change and you need to hit hard and you need to project. Even if I didn't nail it in my first year, I would video myself. I would have my mom when she would come to the game, she'd be in the 500 level their video recorder, and I'd be like, okay,
I
like
love that.
I see what they're telling me. You don't look you look like a little ant down there. I need to look like a cockroach. I needed to really see, you know what I
Not a
mean?
cockroach.
I'm like that's what they needed. They needed to just be able to see me fly and take off. And so that was what I worked on in the off season a lot was continuing to be bigger. And it felt like such an improvement going into my next season. I was like, wow, like I do feel like such a bigger, stronger dancer. And I'm forever grateful for that because my dance career would have ended with, college. And I'm so grateful to have been pushed past my comfort zone to be a better, stronger, bigger dancer.
Yeah. Wow. What was it that made you that bigger dance? Just practicing it, or was there something in
Practicing
particular?
and like the even if, coach at the time wasn't like, I know you can do this. It was more like business. It's like, you need to be a bigger dancer and like, we love you,
Yeah.
but you need to level up. Okay, cool. I hear you. My captain, and then other veterans who are like, Marissa, you are really, really great. Like, you're so close to like being that next performer. You have it. Just let's practice. Let's get you bigger. And they believed in me when my teammates believed in me and encouraged me to level up. in a positive, loving, supportive way. And they were the ones that were like, let's meet every Saturday and run it 50 times and make you bigger. And it's good for me, it's good for you. Then we'll
Yeah.
go to brunch and we'll have girl time. That is what made me a better dancer, was the community of Top Cats, the support of my teammates, and the willingness to put in the practice in the off season.
Yeah, that's huge. Very huge. So
Definitely.
what would you say is your why for auditioning? I know that's huge when, you're going through a process like auditions and you feel like you want to stop, but like there has to be something that keeps you going, keeps you there. What was your why?
Yeah, I think my why initially of wanting to audition for an NFL team was there that feeling of not wanting to stop dancing, but also wanting to find myself with a community of pe like-minded people that were going to challenge me to be better in every way.
Mm,
And I knew the second I came to prep clinic, and then as I went through the audition process, I was like, wow, these are doctors on the team. We have scientists, we have dental assistants, we have teachers. Like, I have no job at the time. Look, I was
it's
like,
inspiring.
I'm trying to figure out like where is Marissa going to go professionally in my just general career, and seeing these just incredible women mothers, and I'm like, how are they doing this? If they can do it, I know I can do it with the time management piece. And I knew right away, I was like, this group of people will be my why and help me develop into the Marissa that I want to be. Career, it's going to naturally, being around people who elevate you naturally elevates you and then helps pivot you into the right direction that like you're supposed to go.
Yeah.
And so I really feel like my why was I was searching for a community of like-minded people, friends that were going to help me become my best version. And that made it even more appealing during the process because I was like, I need to be on this team.
Yeah.
That is going to ultimately make me my best self. And when I did make the team, it did exactly that. It was like I would talk to my teammates like, hey, like I love fitness. I ended up um I had to get a job somewhere because you have to pay the bills. So I was working at a recruiting firm, IT recruiting. Isn't that hilarious to think about me like cold calling people?
I cannot imagine. Yeah, I cannot imagine that at all.
It was like fun and fine, but I immediately started working at a local gym, teaching classes and doing clients before I broke off my own to do my own one-on-one, and then ultimately create West Kept. But I would tell um, my teammates, I'm like, they're like, how's your day? I'm like, oh, like the cold calling, it's not really for me, but I just taught 3 classes and now I'm at practice and like that
Yeah.
filled me up. It was amazing. And they're like, girl, like you can totally do this. Like, would you want to do fitness full time? And I'm like, well, I don't know. But they were constantly gassing me up, helping me level
I
up. They're like,
love
you
that.
can do it. And when you have, I think at the time we had, I think 30 top cats on the team. When you have 29 other people and they're like, you're bomb, you're capable, you should do this, you start to believe it.
Yeah.
And you're like, I'm doing this. And I'll never forget it. I went to my parents and I was like, hey, like I'm quitting my recruiting job. I'm starting my own business. And they were like, what? Like they believed in me, but definitely didn't believe in me as much as my teammates.
Yeah, that's huge though, having that community
It's
and then having
powerful.
people, it is powerful because a lot of times other people that are in your circle in your life can see things that you can't see in yourself and they help you bring it out of you. So that's huge that you have that
Absolutely.
in your teammates.
That was really my why. Like I
Mhm.
wanted to stay leveling up and find my path, and my team help me get there.
And boy, did you level up. You've definitely leveled up. At least I believe so.
Thank you. Thank
What
you.
was your favorite memory of being a Top Cat? Do you have like a favorite like dance or moment that you could relive over and over again?
as you know, there are a million, right?
So many.
But I would say my top two, because I think these are pretty close, would be getting the opportunity to do a USO tour in Tokyo, Japan. That was crazy. It was my rookie season. The other girls that went, I was close with everybody, but these people, I was like, it was like my closest group. I'm like, how did we all get selected? It was just so awesome. And just we went to Camp Zama and we did a tour for it was during the Super Bowl. We got to perform during like their version of the Super Bowl. Excuse me, on base. And then we did a kids camp for all of the military families and their kids. That was incredible. Like as you know, with juniors or anything kid related, the way that those girls were just like in awe, and they hadn't seen cheerleaders, I mean, probably ever, because they were on this base for years because their parents were committed military members. And then the impact that we had on the servicemen and women, it was incredible. They were just so appreciative. They were so excited. The Panthers were not in the Super Bowl that year, but they were just like, this is so cool to have NFL cheerleaders here supporting us. And we were basically like the sideline during the game. So we had like one was one team, one was another. And it was just like so much fun and doing our routines for them. One of my number one experiences. And then the second one, I always talk about this one, but um, certain appearances with kids specifically, and then getting a chance to do an appearance. There were two appearances. They were kind of close in time frame. One was a young boy who had gotten into a car accident. He was never going to be able to walk again. And he was at Levine's Children's Hospital. I went and my teammate Christy, love Christy. She ended up being a captain my second season. And we went over, we had a football signed by Cam. We gave it to him. We were like sizzling and just kind of talking with him and his mom. And he was like, I am like committed to walking again. Like, I'm gonna do this. I'm like, that's amazing. Like, we're praying for you. His mom Facebook friended me. We have stayed friends all of these years. He
Wow.
ended up walking again, and now he's like thriving, went to college, doing his thing, like incredible. Like, just
Yeah.
those types of memories that you stay in alignment with someone that you touched is so cool. And then that's very similar in a similar way, doing an appearance with the Isabel Santos Foundation,
Yeah.
where she was in the locker room with us, and for the Make-A-Wish Foundation, and she had cancer, being able to see her reaction on the field. And now from the West Kept side, we do fundraisers for her organization in her honor every single year. And so those to me, where we were giving back, were so impactful, but little did all those people know they probably impacted me more than I impacted them.
Yeah.
So anything that revolved around appearances with children, with people in need, and just being able to cheer somebody up was like, the games were amazing. Everything else was amazing, but those were like my top memories that
Yeah.
like forever.
Because it's so much bigger than just the uniform or the games. It's
Yes,
such a, yeah, you can make an impact on a lot of people's lives. So I
definitely.
really love that.
Thank you.
Now that you are a sponsor, what West Kept Secret is a sponsor of TopCats, you have been a judge,
Yes.
and I want to know what's something that you see year after year, or maybe you see a lot of the time during the judging process, where you're like, oh, I wish they would have done this, or they would have been so much better in this audition if they would have done this. What's that one thing that maybe is consistent that you want people to kind of take away from, you know, the times that you judge? Does that make sense?
Yep, absolutely. I
Okay.
would say two things here. So number one, I think it's really important for all hopefuls to know that, and this is good for just life in general, or any job interview, or just being a teammate or an employee, but this really translates to the Panther community coming into auditions, every single person, not just Judge Marissa or Judge Tepper, whoever it is, the janitor, the security guard, the alumni, all of those people have a say if
Mm.
you are and are watching and observing, if you are not kind,
Mm.
authentic, welcoming, and just a person who's willing to absorb feedback because they all see it. I mean, you'd be amazed, walking through the door and you just like there's a security guard there and they're like, "Hey, welcome." And you just, you're yawning because it's early morning and you're just like, whatever. It's like that to
Yeah.
me says a lot about somebody if they're not willing to treat the CEO, the VP the same way as they would the janitor. Like
Yeah.
that's right there for me is a big red flag. And those people are watching and those people
You are.
have a say in your ultimate destiny. So I think it's important to be mindful that no matter where you are, um, that you should always be providing the best experience possible for every person that you touch within everything you do, but especially the Panther community when you're going to audition. And then
Yeah.
part two, I would say, is specifically the media question. I know people get
Uh,
really wrapped around the edge on the media question. Like, I need to know every single fact. And it's like, you definitely should do homework, like 100%. You should know the CEO, you should know the head coach, you should know those people, key players. But I think it's so important to practice failing at the media question. So like there is some, get a list of questions from alumni, from current TopCats, or just Google it, pageant questions.
yep.
That's very helpful. And from there, practicing them and having somebody ask you them, and then having them ask you questions that you're like, I don't know that answer.
Yeah.
Because as a judge, the most painful part for me that I'm like, oh man, I loved her or I loved him, but they just killed me with their media question is when they ask, there's a question asked, it could be sports knowledge or it could be just like anything. And it's kind of like, I really, I don't know. And you're like, I love you so much. Come on,
Give
I know
me something. Give me
you,
something.
right, right, right. And then they crush it in their dances, and you're like, I can't give a vote of confidence if you can't give me something. So,
Yeah.
one tip I would say for the media question is if you don't know the answer, number one, it's okay to pause and think. And I think by saying, um, Jasmine, thank you for asking me that question. That's a great question. I'm taking a second to gather my thoughts on that one because that's a difficult one.
Mm.
And then using that few second lead to start pulling from any knowledge that you have in your brain that can create a cohesive, well thought out response. Um, and I'll use like Annalise. She was a great example. And she talked about this recently about prep clinic. She's like, they asked me who played in the Super Bowl when I was there. And I like blanked. And she was like, I don't even know what happened, but I just said, like, that's a great question. I was there. I was at that Super Bowl. And I'm going to take you through some of the things that happened during that Super Bowl. And she kind of like listed, I think as she was gathering, like, okay, like what year was this? What was happening? And then was able to come to the answer. And we were all like, that's a veteran.
Yeah.
That is a veteran who was able to work through that and get there. So for me, it's taking time to gather those thoughts with thoughtful commentary and then coming up with the best answer. And I think the other key is if you really don't know, you're like, I don't know, period. I really can't gather from anything. Saying, you know what? I'll be completely transparent. I don't know that answer, but I am going to research it if I was given the opportunity to come back and provide that answer to you, I will have it. I won't ever forget it. And if you have another question to ask me, I would love to answer that for you.
That's
I've
great.
never heard anybody say the second part, and I'm always like, give me another chance. So that would be my tip because media question gives everybody so much anxiety, and I'm like, it doesn't have to. It
It
doesn't.
doesn't, yeah.
And that
Yeah.
will really make or break it for me because if you can't articulate your thoughts, that is concerning that on a news interview or a podcast, you wouldn't be able to thoughtfully articulate Panther, Q&A for the whole world to see.
Yeah, I think it's important that you said about pausing. There's power in the pause, and the pause is never as long as you might think that it is, right? So it's okay to pause and gather your thoughts before you answer a question. I think that's huge. And I've never heard anybody say that second part of if they don't know a question, then ask another question. I love that too, because you're giving them the opportunity or you're giving yourself the opportunity to like make up for what you don't know. So.
Definitely. I've never heard it. I'm waiting for it because
Yeah.
I'm like, what would they do? What would the announcer do? I don't
Yeah,
know.
what would they do? Yeah,
We'll find out, and maybe somebody will use that tip.
I hope so. It's a great one.
Thank you. Thought of that last year. I was like, somebody was
Yeah.
somewhere. I'm like, oh no, just ask, just give them another opportunity. And I thought that would be a great tip. I'd love to share at some point. So I'm glad I'm able to share it on your podcast.
Yeah, I love that. And I hope somebody uses it. Um, so I have a couple questions about just being a business owner
Yeah.
before we wrap up. And I know that being a business owner can have its ups, it can have its downs. And I want to know from you, what is the hardest part for you about being a fitness business owner, but also what are some of the like rewards of that?
For me personally, being a business owner, I really struggle with being boundary setting and how involved in the business am I versus working on the business. And I think that that's been a struggle for me really the last couple of years. And I finally feel like I found a groove of I'm probably working on the business, so strategy, social media, training my staff and meeting with them regularly to support them and empower them to become leaders is just as important, if not more important, than me being the one teaching classes and being with clients all day long.
Yeah.
So I have found that boundaries and finding that balance has been a challenge, but the reward has been incredible because I'm able to see sides of my staff that I'm like, man, that person is a natural born leader. I don't think I would have ever known that if I was the one leading every single time. Now,
Yeah.
this person is rising up and they are leading team trainings now. They're the ones that are leading and heading our partnerships, our events, things like that. So, really, a huge reward has been seeing my team blossom and grow. But I would say the toughest part has been boundary setting and also with that, not letting the natural control of, I know this works, let me just tell them the answer. Letting them
Mm,
struggle to get to the answer and go, it took us a couple hours or a day or 15 minutes to get here, but you did it. I didn't have to help
yeah.
you. Like that is so rewarding. Um, so for me has been the biggest challenge, but the biggest reward. And then, of course, seeing our just general clients hitting their goals and
Yeah.
speaking highly of West Kept and sharing the love with their friends or their family just brings so much joy, so much joy. And it's even more joy when I see like I recently today I saw a couple Google reviews come in for another trainer, and it was like this trainer helped me reach my goals. They gave me a 5-star experience. I love Westcat and I love this trainer. And it was like, that wasn't about me. That was
Yeah.
about this trainer that is embedded in our core values. They believe in our methodology and they have now given what I love and have created to somebody else, not
Yeah.
me directly, but an extension of me, that is so
Yeah.
powerful and just literally fills me up with so much job satisfaction and joy and pride for
Yeah.
my staff to be able to do that and help somebody feel better, feel fitter, have more energy. Chef's kiss on that all day.
Yeah, that shows your leadership and what you've built and the team that you've built around you. They can make it run without you, but like you're
Right.
the foundation, and I think that's very powerful. And yeah, I can agree that, West Cup is so unique and the workouts work, y'all. So make sure that you go be consistent. I remember when I was going, I saw like so many just changes in my body and from when I first started to like I don't even know, not too long after. So
Thank you.
the method works and I think it is very unique and it's challenging but rewarding. Yeah.
Thank you. And anyone who is listening that has not been to West Kept and they want to come try, if they follow us at West Kept Secret and DM us, we'll give them a complimentary class. No problem to come just try it. So anyone who is a regular listener of your podcast, I'm more than happy to do that. If they just shoot us a DM and said that they tuned in, we would love that.
Wow, yes. I'm gonna make that announcement and put it in the show notes. So
Love
yes.
it.
Make sure you stay to the end till you so you listen to that.
Love it.
Um, one thing that you had said is that well, no, one thing that I've noticed at West Cup is that the energy is high. It's high all the time. And I want to know how you psych yourself up to like be in that environment, but on the same vein or different vein, how do you like wind down like from being in that environment um and just taking the time to like calm yourself.
So it's funny for me personally because I would describe myself, believe it or not, I think people are like, what, Marissa? And I'm like, I promise, I
Mhm.
consider myself an extroverted introvert. So I am by nature actually like relatively introverted. I kind of like have I'm not going to be on and kind of this bubbly gal all the time. I'm generally pretty quiet. I know it's hard to believe, Jasmine, but I for work, boom. It's like Beyonce. She goes on stage, she has an alter ego. Like that's who I
Mhm.
feel like well, I wish I was Beyonce. She is a Virgo and I'm a Virgo. So
That's close
like an
enough.
extension, we're like close enough, right? But I try to channel that. I'm like, you're in chill mode, you're your regular Marissa. That's who you are kind of in between clients or just in my car or at home with my husband or my son. When I though am on the way to West Cap or I'm teaching a class, I'm like, all right, it's game time. We're turning her on, Marissa 2.0, and she's going to show up, show out, and provide the energy because I know for me to get through a workout, I need that. I
Yeah.
want that and I deserve that, especially if I'm paying for it. So those early mornings, those 4
Mhm.
a.m.s, when you're driving to the studio and you're like, oh man, I will listen to the playlist I have on deck for the class. And I'm like, all right, I'm feeling it. I'm feeling good. I'm getting hype. I'm like, Marissa, like 18 people out of 18 people signed up for you.
Mm.
You're gonna put on a performance. You're gonna give them the best workout that they of their life. They deserve it. Um, Show up for them. And like I'll
Yeah.
repeat that to myself in my head. And I'll also say to myself, and it's a similar like with TopCats, I did this too. Okay, you are tired, you are sore, you're hungry, you're all these things, but at the same time, you are grateful. Not everyone gets this opportunity to do what they love, to teach a class and get paid for it,
Yeah.
to go to practice or perform on the field. When you're starting to feel low, go back to that gratitude, and that automatically kind of pumps me up. And I'm like, you know what? Things aren't so bad.
Yeah.
Let me wake myself up and show up for these people. And so that is one kind of energizing tip. And then I also will be like, but at the end of the day, I'm like, did I overschedule myself and like really won't wear myself down? And if I notice that, I'm like, okay, next time, how can I balance my schedule a little better so I can give 100% to my classes or my clients or whatever I'm showing up to if I noticed I got a little fatigued?
Yeah.
Do I do better next time on my schedule? So that's kind of my amping up preparation energy to wind down. I do struggle at night if I've taught an event class, because I'm normally a morning girly when I get up early and I teach. But if
Mm-hmm.
I've have an event at night, it's very hard. I'm like, I'm amped up. I'm like, let me go teach three more classes. Like I have the energy and I'm like, oh my God, it's 9 o'clock. Like I got to be up early. So I very much struggle with that. I will say when I'm leaving the studio or an event, if I've taught at it, I will get in the car and I'll immediately switch on classical piano music. It's crazy. I literally am like, you got to change the energy now. And that car ride of that music, I'm kind of like, okay, that's feeling good. That's
Mm-hmm.
winding me down a little. When I get home, I will also um like do a little peek on my son. I'm like, oh, he's asleep. He's he's in relaxation mode. Let me pop on my jammies and just kind of try to not be on my phone and just have some time to connect with my husband, like hear about his day and then wind down from there. And one other like little tip that I've started implementing is I got this red light therapy mask, like the Omnilux mask,
I
like
think I've seen.
the Instagram ads, they targeted.
Yeah.
I was like, fine,
Are
fine. The
those the ones
holidays,
that like Kim Kardashian wears?
yes, and like for
Yeah.
the holidays, they had like a promo. I'm like, okay, does it help with your skin and glow? Or whatever? Who knows? But I will say this: I put it on. I hit that remote, and like you can't really like see any. Like it'll be dangerous for your eyes, so you have to shut your eyes. That is a 10-minute mask that literally winds me down. And immediately I'm starting to fall asleep by the last 2 minutes. Mask goes
Ooh.
off, I pull it off, and I'm like asleep. And I'm like, this is a game changer for me to wind down. So that has been my new, so December, January, March. We're going into March. So December, January, excuse me, February. I'm skipping February. Last 3 months, that has
Yeah.
been a new game changer for me. So
Oh, might have to try that maybe one
yeah,
day.
it's been working for me because I have a hard time winding down at night.
Yeah. I love the classical music tip
I
too.
kid you not. It's called classical piano.
Yeah.
It really does the job for me when I'm driving and I need to wind down from studio or event to home.
Yeah. Last question. You said your favorite quote is push past your comfort zone. What does that mean to you? Is that something that you came up with, by the way?
No, I got that from somebody else. That was not me. I forget who. I saw it somewhere and I was like, that is I'm all in. And that's one of the quotes on the studio floor at Westkep.
I'm about to say, I think I've seen that on the
You've
floor.
seen that one.
Yeah.
There are a lot of different ones.
Let It
That one.
Burn, Usher, I've seen that one.
That's it. That's it. That one, like woke up in beast mode. I don't always wake up in beast mode. I have to work
You got to
my
psych
way.
yourself up to say, like, getting there.
Exactly. Some days I do, but most I don't. But push past your comfort zone. It's just like that has been my motto my entire life.
Mm.
Really specifically the last 15 years and on with going for TopCats. Just what are the odds that you're going to make this team? You're uncomfortable, you're terrified, you don't know the outcome, you're uncomfortable, literally, physically, mentally, emotionally, the entire process. But if you can push past that, look what the result can be. It can be magical. It can help the entire trajectory of your life, your career, move you forward. And that is powerful. And the push past your comfort zone applies to relationships, it applies to work, and most recently applies to, for me, again, like getting pregnant, to be completely transparent, like being pregnant was something I was very uncomfortable with the thought of it for a lot of reasons. Like one, the body changes. I mean, I've never gained probably more than, 5 or 10 pounds in my life, give or take. And like, okay, well, your career is fitness and now your entire body is going to change. And like, how is that going to feel from a like slowing you down perspective? Because it is, it's like it's harder. Things are just harder when you've added
Yeah.
25 or 30 pounds to your body. That how is my marriage going to change with having a baby? How is my work going to change? um I was very uncomfortable with the thought of the what ifs, the negative
Mm,
what ifs. But pushing past that, I'm comfortable being married and my work, that's my comfort zone. What
yeah.
if I embrace this new chapter and opportunity, and it's been the best thing in the entire world. It's the most rewarding thing. And it's like if I hadn't pushed past that and been uncomfortable physically, mentally, emotionally throughout the
Mm,
entire process, what would I have been missing out on?
yeah. Wow.
So it's just it's been a constant for me to try to do that throughout my entire life. Um, right when I'm starting to get comfortable, I'm like, okay, like maybe I'm going to live in this comfort zone for a while, but when it's time to push past it, I want to identify it and I ultimately want to do it. And I can't recommend that more to anyone listening. If they're stuck in their comfort zone,
Mhm.
finding a way to push past it, no matter what it would look like.
Yeah. That's so powerful. And I think that's what makes somebody a winner, right? Winners are people that push past their comfort zone. So I
I
think
love that.
that's such a great way to close it out. But I lied because we're gonna do rapid fire questions. These are
Okay.
just
Oh, I
these
love
are
it.
just a couple like little I'm gonna say something and then you just react to it. It's like a question or you finish the end of the sentence or something like that, and then we'll wrap it up.
Okay, let's do it.
What is your favorite cheat meal? Or what is your cheat meal?
Oh, goodness. Oh, there's so many options. Okay, I'm gonna go with, let's just go with like a full on, like greasy, deep dish cheese pizza. So
Yeah,
good.
so good. Finish this sentence. Confidence is achieved when.
Confidence is achieved when you find others who believe in you.
Mm, awesome. What's something we might not know about you, Marissa? Besides what you mentioned before, which you
I know,
weren't.
and I love giving you new facts that, like, again, on other
Yeah,
podcasts, like maybe I've never said, and someone's like, "What? That is so cool," or "I've never heard that."
I know. I love it.
Let me give you something, something maybe nobody has heard before. I have a lot of like random facts about me. I would say I used to in middle school, in addition to my dance and gymnastics transition, I also got into playing an instrument. I played the clarinet,
Oh,
which I
plot
was
twist.
okay, but I really love music too. So like it kind of
Yeah.
made sense with the dance, but I just knew that long term it didn't pique my interest because I didn't get a chance to like move my body. But I
Yeah.
really enjoyed playing an instrument, and like maybe down the line I'll take it back up as like a hobby.
Did you still play it today if you picked it up?
I don't know. I'd have to see. I know I
Yeah.
could do a recorder, but I kind of want Julian to like get into music, like maybe the clarinet, and I could practice a little. So we'll
He
see.
might. He might take that up from you.
That's all right. That's all right.
What is your maiden name?
It is Acker, Acker. I'm going to be honest. I think West is way cooler than Acker.
That's so cool. Yeah, yeah, I love West. I just because you have such a cool last name, I was like, I wonder what her maiden name is.
Acker, like it's German on my dad's side, and a bit Marissa Acker, Marissa West.
Yeah, I love that.
You know, in the Top Cat locker room, I was number one for everything, girl.
Oh, yes. Because you were Top Cat before you got married. Wow.
Hmm.
And then if you were West, you would have been kind of like towards the end.
I kind of would have loved that.
Yeah.
But West way cooler.
In another life, you know.
Exactly.
When was the last time you truly had a day off? And what did you do?
It was a hot minute ago, because we had some Top Cat prep clinic stuff this past week, and I would say we're in February. I'm checking my calendar because it was kind of a hot second ago. It was 2 weeks ago on Sunday, February the 9th was my
Okay.
2 weeks ago. And what I did was got up. My husband always makes chocolate chip pancakes every Saturday and Sunday. It's like,
Yes.
come over for breakfast, please. It's the best breakfast ever. I live
Oh,
for it.
okay. Okay.
And then you're more than welcome to join. And then we suited Julian up. We went for a 4 mile walk. And then we came back home. We just like hung out with him. We were reading, we were singing, we were dancing, and put him down for a nap. Then the two of us watched. We did like a little binge watch on a Netflix show. Got him up. We did dinner, kind of like the same read, dance, repeat, put him down. And then we just like hung out for the evening together, did dinner. And it was just such a meaningful family day. And I live for those days when I can get a chance to be off and just be all in with them.
I love that. That's so cool. I thought you were gonna say 2 months ago. I was about to be like, Marissa,
No, girl, 2 weeks. I was like, that 2 weeks isn't that bad, right?
that's not that bad. Two
Not
2 weeks,
bad.
that's not that bad.
Pretty proud of myself. It's the boundaries. It's the boundaries, Jasmine.
Boundaries. Yeah, you're working on it. Describe your college dance cheer experience in one word.
Magical.
Hmm. Now describe your Top Cat experience in one word.
That's quadruple magical. No, I would say for Top Cats, life changing.
Hmm. Would you rather go back in time or go forward toward the future?
Go forward towards the future.
Hmm. What's your go-to hype song?
I've stuck with the same one for literally 15 years. Pop that French Montana. Nothing can touch it.
Hey, that song
Nothing.
reminds me of college.
Same. Nothing can like. There are
So
definitely some
good.
new ones that can come close, but like it is always hypes me up, the crowd up. It's a certified band.
Yeah, you just have to dance.
Have to
Who do you think is the greatest performer of all time?
in the dance world or just in general.
Maybe you can answer both. However you want to take that.
I would say from just like general performer, I would say like Michael Jackson and Beyonce for me. I just think she like captivates, and Michael definitely was impactful for me in like my childhood because I was like, man,
Yeah.
like he can sing, he can dance, he's just a great performer.
Hmm.
Dance world, I would just stick with those who I know, like in the Top Cat community, because I think when you start going so big, it's like the usual answers, right? It's
Yeah.
Martha Graham or like people who are influential in the dance community. I hope she listens to this. She's gonna be like, oh my God, Marissa. But I would say from the Top Cat side, Stacey Sanderson, you know Stacey?
Don't
She's like
think
an
so.
OG Top Cat. She danced for the Checkers, the Bobcats at the time. I think she danced when they were the Hornets. Top Cat, she went to Pro Bowl.
Okay.
So she's a Pro Bowl girly and just a great friend of mine that we've stayed close with over the years, even though like our lives have ebbed and flowed. But
Yeah.
blonde, super energized, and just like was like my girl crush on Top Cats because I wanted to be as big of a dancer as she was, and just like greatest performer of all time for me. So go Stacey.
Oh, I love the close to home answer.
I have one of those.
Who is on your playlist at the moment?
Playlist at the moment, I mean, I'm trying to be cool and young and trendy, but it's hard because I'm not that.
Yes, you are.
I would say right now the playlist that I keep going back to, I have just oldies on here. So it's like T.I., Ludacris, Juvenile. It's just aging me. Migos, um, Iggy, Drake, Nelly. I like the old stuff.
Yeah. Nelly's a good old one. I don't want to call him old, but
Yeah,
like nostalgic.
it just like, and I think that like caters to a certain demographic of like millennials who are my age who are like, oh, these songs bring me back.
Yeah.
And I feel like our clients know that. And then we have younger trainers who they're like, okay, they're playing more of the like new fun stuff. The staff keeps me young and they're like, you need to download this, put this on your playlist. So I'm trying.
Last question. What are your last words of wisdom for those auditioning for TopCats or any other pro team?
Number one, preparation is the key to success. So, everything we've talked about. Getting to know the organization to make sure it's the right fit for you because each team is so different.
Yeah.
I think that's very important. And you can do that by reaching out to current team members and alumni and just like looking at their Instagram, looking at their website, like, is that a team that represents who you are as an individual? And then I think number three, we talk about this a lot with TopCats during the audition process, but when we say like, it seems cliche, but really being your most authentic self. What is that? It's not me trying to be you, Jasmine, and it's not vice versa. It's my personality has different quirks and different things that make me me and vice versa. And I think when you just embrace that and you show up to your interview or you show up to auditions, professional, respectful, of course, but still letting your personality shine through, that builds a sense of trust with the other hopefuls, with the current team, with alumni, with judges, that goes like, you know what? This person is showing me who they really are, hopefully in a good way. And that is who we want on the team to represent our organization for the long term.
Yeah. Wow. Marissa, you have been incredible. This has been incredible. Thank you so much for coming on. You have so much to offer, and the wisdom that you have just from your life experiences, being a dancer, a mom, a fitness coach, a business owner. It's just incredible. So I really appreciate you coming on. Probably one of my favorite interviews that I've done.
Wow, I'm
One
honored.
of,
Thank
yeah.
you so much. Truly, thank you. It's
Yeah.
an honor to be included, and always love supporting you and learning from the gals and folks that you have on your podcast because you're doing amazing things as well. And just thank you for the opportunity.
You're welcome, of course. And I hope to see you at audition soon.
Can't wait. I will see you then.
Thank you. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Imperfect Cheerleader podcast. Taking the time to listen while you're busy with all of life's responsibilities means the world to me. If you enjoyed this episode, here are a few ways you can support ICP. Number 1, hit the subscribe button so you always get newly released episodes and never miss them. Number 2, take a screenshot of the episode you listened to and tag @theprofessionalcheerleader on Instagram. We love to repost your tags and shout you out in our stories. Number 3, write a review. This is the best way to show your support for the podcast and helps us bring on even better guests, interviews, and topics. I hope you have a wonderful day, morning, or night, wherever you may be, and are continuing to work towards your goals of becoming a professional cheerleader, dancer, or just someone who loves to move. I'll see you later on another episode of the Imperfect Cheerleader podcast. Toodles for now.